Have you ever felt the shift? Not the loud kind, not the obvious fight or argument, but a silent shift. The kind where people start acting different around you, and you can't even figure out why. One day, everything feels normal. The next day, the energy changes. The smiles look forced. The conversations feel shorter. The support disappears. And you sit there thinking, what did I do? You replay every interaction in your head, every message, every word, every moment, but you can't find the crime, because sometimes there wasn't one. Here's something most people never realize. When you start evolving, not everyone will celebrate you when you become more confident, more disciplined, more calm, more self-aware. You unknowingly trigger something in others, and that trigger doesn't always turn into admiration. Sometimes it turns into resentment. You didn't attack them, you didn't insult them, you didn't compete with them. You simply grew, and growth has a strange effect on insecure minds. It exposes, it reflects, it reminds people of the version of themselves they abandoned, the goals they never pursued, the discipline they never built, the courage they never had. And instead of facing that discomfort, it's easier to blame you. Suddenly, you're too much, too ambitious, too quiet, too confident, too distant. But what really changed? You stopped shrinking. You stopped over-explaining. You stopped begging for approval. And that makes people uncomfortable, because a person who no longer seeks validation is a person who cannot be controlled. Today, we're going to talk about why people start hating you, seemingly for no reason. The moment you step into your power, through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we'll understand something powerful. It's rarely about you. It's about what your growth awakens inside them. And once you truly understand this, you will stop taking it personally. You will stop doubting yourself. And most importantly, you will stop shrinking just to keep others comfortable. Let's begin. One of the most uncomfortable truths about human nature is this. Sometimes people don't hate you. They hate what they see in themselves when they look at you, when you start improving your life, waking up earlier, working on your mindset, controlling your emotions, setting goals, choosing discipline over distraction. Something subtle happens. You become a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. Your calmness reflects their chaos. Your discipline reflects their excuses. Your progress reflects their procrastination. Your confidence reflects their insecurity. And here's the painful part. Most people are not ready to confront their own reflection. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal Meditations that people act wrongly not because they are evil, but because they are unaware of their own flaws, fears, and weaknesses. When someone sees you growing, it silently forces them to ask a dangerous question. Why am I not doing the same? And instead of facing that question honestly, it feels easier to criticize you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you think you're better. They'll call you arrogant, distant, or too serious. But what really changed? You stopped settling, and your refusal to settle highlights their comfort in mediocrity. Understand this clearly. Your growth challenges the identity they were comfortable with. Before, you were on the same level. Now you're evolving, and evolution makes stagnant people uncomfortable. Not because you attacked them, but because your existence exposes their inaction. This is why Stoicism teaches emotional detachment, not because people are cruel, but because human ego is fragile. When someone feels small next to you, they have two choices: rise or try to pull you down. Many choose the second option. So if people start acting cold when you improve yourself, don't panic. Don't shrink. Don't dim your light to make others feel secure. You are not responsible for managing someone else's insecurities. If your discipline offends them, if your peace irritates them, if your ambition intimidates them, that's not hatred. That's reflection, and not everyone is brave enough to face what they see in the mirror. There was a version of you that people were very comfortable with. The version that always said yes. The version that avoided conflict. The version that apologized even when it wasn't necessary. The version that tolerated disrespect just to keep the peace. And people loved that version. Not because it was strong, but because it was convenient. Here's something most people don't admit. Control often hides behind affection. Some people don't love you for who you are. They love how manageable you are, as long as you were over-explaining, over-giving, over-compromising. Everything felt fine. But the moment you started setting boundaries, something shifted. You said, "No, that doesn't work for me. I don't appreciate that. I need space. I deserve better." And suddenly, you became difficult. Why? Because boundaries expose entitlement. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught something powerful. You have control over your own actions, not over others. The moment you truly understand this, you stop trying to control people. But something even more important happens. You stop allowing them to control you, and that's when resistance begins. People who benefited from your silence will resent your voice. People who benefited from your weakness will resist your strength. People who were comfortable crossing your limits will feel attacked when you build walls. But here's the truth. You didn't become rude. You became aware. You didn't become cold. You became self-respecting. And self-respect changes the entire dynamic when someone can no longer guilt-trip you, manipulate your emotions, or use your kindness against you. They feel powerless. And powerless people often respond with anger. What looks like hate is often just frustration. Frustration that they can't move you the way they used to. Stoicism teaches us to remain steady in moments like this, because when you choose character over approval, you will lose access to certain people. But that loss is not punishment, it's protection. So if someone starts disliking you after you build boundaries, don't panic. Don't go back to being small. Growth always threatens those who were comfortable benefiting from your lack of it. And that discomfort is not your responsibility to fix. There is something extremely unsettling about a calm person. Not loud. Not reactive. Not defensive. Just steady. When you stop arguing back. When you stop explaining yourself repeatedly. When you stop chasing closure, you create silence, and silence is uncomfortable for people who are used to emotional noise. Some people survive on drama. They feel important when there is tension. They feel alive when there is conflict. So when you respond with calmness instead of chaos, it frustrates them because they can't pull you into their storm anymore. You see, emotional chaos feeds on reaction. If they criticize you and you explode, they win. If they gossip and you defend aggressively, they win. If they provoke you and you lose control, they win. But when you stay composed, they lose access. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said that anger, if not restrained, is frequently more harmful to us than the injury that provokes it. When you truly understand this, something shifts inside you. You stop reacting for ego. You stop fighting every battle. You stop needing the last word. And people who are emotionally immature don't know how to handle that. They may say, "You've changed. You're acting different. Why are you so quiet now?" But what really changed? You chose peace over proving a point. And peace can feel like rejection to someone who is used to emotional intensity. When you no longer entertain gossip, when you no longer engage in petty arguments, when you no longer defend yourself against every opinion, you become distant from chaos, and chaos hates distance. Understand this clearly. Your calm energy forces others to sit alone with their own noise, and many people are afraid of that silence. Because in silence, there is self-reflection, and self-reflection is uncomfortable. So instead of adjusting themselves, they label you as cold or arrogant. But calm is not arrogance, it is control. It is maturity. It is strength under pressure. Stoicism teaches us that external events are not within our control, only our response is. When you master your response, you master your life, and not everyone benefits from you being in control of yourself. So if your peace starts disturbing people, let it. Because real strength isn't loud, it's composed. Here's something most people never realize. The world doesn't see you as you are. It sees you as the role it assigned to you. Maybe you were the shy one. Maybe you were the emotional one. Maybe you were the one who always struggles. Maybe you were the funny one who never gets serious. People build a mental version of you, and they get comfortable with that version. It makes them feel safe, because as long as you stay in that role, they know how to interact with you. They know where they stand. They know they're not threatened. But growth destroys roles. The moment you become more confident, more assertive, more independent, more successful, you disrupt the identity they created for you, and that disruption feels threatening. It's like they're thinking, wait, that's not who you're supposed to be. You weren't supposed to speak up. You weren't supposed to succeed first. You weren't supposed to glow differently. And when you do, it shakes their internal hierarchy. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that he must act according to his nature, not according to public opinion. That's powerful, because once you start acting according to your true nature, not the character others wrote for you, you become unpredictable, and people don't like unpredictability, especially when it means they can no longer feel superior. Sometimes the hate isn't about jealousy, it's about control over perception. They were comfortable seeing you beneath them. Your growth forces them to see you differently, and changing perception requires humility. Many people would rather criticize you than admit they misjudged you. So they say, "You've changed. You're not the same. You think you're better now." But growth always looks like arrogance to those who refuse to evolve. Understand this. You are not obligated to stay the same just to keep others comfortable. You are allowed to evolve beyond the story they wrote about you. You are allowed to break roles. You are allowed to become unrecognizable in the best way. Because the moment you stop playing small, some people lose the advantage they had over you, and they will call that loss hate. But it's not hate. It's discomfort, and discomfort is the price of evolution. Human beings compare, even when they say they don't, even when they smile, even when they clap for you. Deep inside, comparison is automatic. When you and someone start at the same level, same struggles, same mindset, same circle, there's comfort in that equality. It feels balanced. But the moment you start improving, working on your health, building discipline, earning more, becoming emotionally stable, speaking with confidence, that balance shifts, and not everyone handles that shift maturely. Instead of thinking, "I'm inspired," some think, "I'm falling behind," and that thought is heavy, because your progress becomes a silent reminder of what they haven't done. You wake up earlier. They still hit snooze. You control your emotions. They still react impulsively. You invest in growth. They invest in distraction, and without saying a word, you expose the gap. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we suffer not because of events themselves, but because of the meaning we attach to them. Your success is neutral, but if someone attaches the meaning, "She's ahead of me," "He's doing better than me," then envy begins to grow. Comparison turns into insecurity. Insecurity turns into resentment, and resentment often looks like hate. They may downplay your achievements. They may say it's luck. They may say you've changed. They may stop supporting you quietly. But understand this clearly. Your growth did not harm them. It only highlighted their inaction. And that's painful for someone who isn't ready to take responsibility. The mature reaction to someone's success is inspiration. The insecure reaction is criticism. And Stoicism reminds us of something powerful. You are responsible for your virtue, your effort, your discipline, not for managing other people's ego. If someone feels left behind, they have two choices: catch up or complain. You are not obligated to slow down to protect someone else's comfort. Growth will naturally create distance, not because you want it to, but because not everyone is willing to move at your pace. And sometimes, what feels like hate is just someone struggling with the fear that you are moving forward, and they are standing still. Let's say it clearly. Not everyone who smiles at you wants to see you win. And that's not negativity. That's human nature. Envy is one of the oldest emotions in history. It existed long before social media, long before modern competition. Even in ancient Rome, philosophers wrote about how dangerous quiet jealousy can be. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned that envy doesn't just attack others, it poisons the person who carries it. But here's the thing. Envy rarely looks obvious. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It looks like backhanded compliments. Wow, you've really changed. It looks like subtle minimization. It's not that big of a deal. It looks like silence when you succeed, or criticism when you glow. Envy is triggered when someone sees in you something they deeply desire, but don't believe they can achieve. Your confidence, your discipline, your calmness, your beauty, your success, your independence. When someone feels incapable of reaching what you've built, instead of improving themselves, they try to psychologically reduce you. They question you. They doubt you. They talk behind your back. Because if they can shrink your achievement in their mind, they don't have to confront their own insecurity. But here's the powerful part. Envy is not proof that you did something wrong. It is proof that you possess something valuable. Weak minds compete. Strong minds create. Stoicism teaches emotional detachment for this exact reason. You cannot control how others feel about your light. You cannot control the stories they create in their head. You cannot control the discomfort your success awakens in them, but you can control your response. You can remain steady. You can remain disciplined. You can remain unmoved. The more unshaken you are, the more frustrated envy becomes, because envy feeds on reaction, and when you give it none, it slowly starves. So if people start hating you for no clear reason, understand this calmly. Sometimes it's not personal. Sometimes you are simply standing in a light they haven't learned how to stand in themselves. And instead of stepping into their own growth, they try to dim yours. So if people start hating you for no reason, pause. Don't panic. Don't shrink. And most importantly, don't start doubting yourself. Because now you understand something powerful. It was never really about you. It was about the mirror you became, the boundaries you built, the peace you chose, the role you outgrew, the progress you made, the envy you unknowingly triggered. Growth is lonely sometimes, not because you are wrong, but because not everyone is meant to grow with you. And that's okay. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he would meet people who are jealous, selfish, arrogant, and insecure, not because the world is cruel, but because human nature is flawed, and once you accept human nature, you stop taking everything personally. You stop trying to fix how others see you. You stop explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you. Instead, you focus on the only thing truly within your control: your character, your discipline, your response. Let them gossip. Let them misunderstand. Let them project their insecurities onto you. Your job is not to be liked by everyone. Your job is to live with integrity. Remember this: if you are never criticized, you are probably not growing. If you are never misunderstood, you are probably not evolving. And if you are never envied, you are probably not stepping into your full potential. The strongest people in history were never universally loved. They were respected. And respect is not loud. It is built quietly, through consistency, calmness, and inner strength. So the next time someone starts acting cold, the next time someone resents your progress, the next time you feel misunderstood, stand taller, because it means you are rising. And not everyone is comfortable watching someone else ascend. Keep building, keep improving, keep choosing peace over reaction, because in the end, it's better to be respected and misunderstood than liked and limited.